Coming up on the Together for Good podcast, I am talking with our summer interns, Kate and Paige. They're from Gen Z. And I'm trying to find out, why are they still here? Why do they still keep coming to church? Why are they connected to a church at all? It's going to be fun. Here we go. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast, a podcast created by Bethany Lutheran Church in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado, and hosted by me, Pastor Nate Preisinger. On Together for Good, our goal is to provide practical, engaging content that supports you without expectations. Whether you're feeling disconnected from traditional religion or simply exploring what faith means in your life, we're here to walk alongside you. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Together for Good. Hey, Paige, Kate, thanks for coming to the podcast studio with me today.
Thank you for having us.
You're so welcome. I have been wanting to have this conversation with the two of you ever since you started here as interns back at the beginning of June. I know some of your stories a little bit, but our listeners don't know your stories at all. So let's just start there. Paige, you're at the far end of the couch, so we're going to start with you.
Great.
Tell the listeners just a little bit about who you are, and more, I also want to hear a little bit about kind of your story connected to church. That's where I always start people off, is like, yeah, did you grow up as a person of faith? So give us sort of a broad sense of who you are and your origin story.
Yeah, so I'm Paige. I grew up going to church before. When me and my family grew up in Denver, we went to a church there, and then we moved, and so we came to this church, Bethany. And I was here starting in like first grade, because I did first communion and got confirmed and everything, all here at Bethany. And then the pandemic hit, and that really drew our family away from church because it was really hard to access. And then I think my family kind of realized, not necessarily, it was more like my family didn't grow apart from the church, because they still received Bethany emails and donated occasionally, I think. But my mom likes to say that she feels the closest to God when she's hiking. And so I think she drew in towards that like nature side. And both my parents grew up in very strict religious households. And I think that's a huge turn away from the church is growing up in really strict religion, because it makes it less about faith and more about, this is something you have to do.
Yeah.
As like
obligation.
It becomes obligation.
Yeah. So I think that the pandemic did that for a lot of people too, of suddenly they couldn't go to the ritual that they're used to of coming in church. But then that sort of opened up people to realize, like, wait a second, I still feel connected with God, even though I don't have that regular part that I was always obligated to fulfill.
Yes, exactly.
And so recognizing that isn't necessarily a bad thing. You told your mom's side of the story, but like, what was that like for you? Obviously, you were kind of along for the ride.
Yes.
Pandemic hit when you were in 9th grade, 8th grade?
End of 8th grade.
End of 8th grade. Okay. And yeah, what did you make of it as your family kind of shifted their regular programming?
I think since it was the pandemic, it's hard to say. There wasn't a super noticeable shift. It was more like the pandemic started and slowly we drew away. And then we joined back in for Easter. I believe there was an online, like a live viewing.
Yeah.
The ceremony, but we didn't go in person.
Yep.
And then there was an online for Christmas. We did that.
Yep.
And so it was just kind of interesting, but it grew like less and less a part of our daily or weekly lives as far as actual church goes.
Yeah.
So I think it's more gradual of like, and I was so young that I didn't really recognize the difference, I think, until I was probably like a senior in high school, and I was like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that.
And for you all along, like these are years of a lot of faith development, right? I think a lot of people's faith grow in those high school years. And what was that like for you you heard all these stories growing up and you went kind of because it was just what your family did. But then I'm just curious how it played out in this more disconnected type of space during your high school years.
Yeah, I think I actually really appreciated having that in an interesting way. I mean, I feel the same as my mom. I think I rely a lot less on the Bible than I think a lot of religious people do. I think I do more of like, I mean, obviously these stories are like incredibly important to building our faith and the history of the church. But I think feeling God and God's presence outside of that is really important. A lot of that can grow outside of like strict teachings.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we recognize a lot, but
So what is it
Yeah.
for you? What does that look like for you?
I mean, for me, I think I'm the same as my mom in nature. And
Okay.
I wrote that devotional
Yeah.
about nature.
Shout out Paige Devotional. It's really good.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah. I mean, I guess nature would be your answer, is that
Yeah.
that's like the space where you feel like you connect with God most. Yes. Hiking, just being outside, paddleboarding. We
Love
enjoy a love of paddleboarding.
Yes. I mean, I also think there's a lot of that in connecting with kids. I think that's also where I feel it,
Yeah.
which is why I enjoyed doing when I volunteered last summer for Bible camp.
Right.
I think that's what really brought me back in, is working with kids and seeing the connections that church builds between people. So I
Yeah.
also think that's really important
Cool.
outside of just like plants.
No, that's awesome. Kate, you've been so patient. Thank you. You just
Enjoy
listening.
listening.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us a little bit. I mean, well, first off, I'm just curious if you had a similar experience with pandemic. Let's start there. I mean, you're going to get to introduce yourself. This is going to be all out of order, and that's going to be fun for people. But picking up off the pandemic side of things, you were in high school during pandemic?
Yeah, I was a junior in high school.
Junior in high school.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, what do you feel like at that point? You were probably, I know some of your story, and you were pretty confident in, you're a pretty confident individual in general. And so, like, who you were, where you were going. But do you feel like that, like, shook up your faith in any way, shape, or form, or changed it? That
It
type of like,
definitely
big pause.
changed my family.
Okay.
But not so much my personal faith. For a long time, I had been trying to get them to leave the Missouri Synod
Okay.
and to go to a more progressive church. I had been really pushing
interesting.
for that. And then the final straw for them was when our Missouri Synod church wouldn't enforce the mask mandate. And my grandparents are super old.
Yeah.
And it was really unsafe for them. So that was like the final thing where my mom was like, we got to get out of here. Like, what are they doing?
Wow.
This is crazy. So it ended up kind of being the pandemic that really finally led to a change for the rest of my family, wanting to
I don't
somewhere
think
that
I
better
knew
aligned
that.
with our beliefs.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. My grandma sent this email to our pastor. It
Wow.
was the whole thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. My parents were emailing them like, you need to enforce this. It's a church. There's tons of old people.
Okay.
They're immunocompromised.
Wow.
So
yeah, it's so funny how all that became such a political issue and like
it really did.
demarcation in the sand for different
It's
churches
crazy.
or organizations or
Yeah.
Okay, so I wanted to jump in on that because it was a nice segue, but also, I mean, tell folks about what you just finished doing, graduating, where you're going next. Yeah, help people understand a little bit about you, and also, yeah, give us a little background of your faith journey, like Paige did.
Okay. I'm Kate. I grew up in church. We lived in Chicago until I was 10 and went to an Episcopal church, which I loved. And then we moved here to Colorado and went to a Lutheran church, the Missouri Synod,
Mm-hmm.
which is a lot more conservative, which I also loved. But that was where I found my call to be a pastor. They don't ordain women, blah, blah, blah. Conflict.
Tell me this. No, let's stop there. Yes, you are heading off to seminary in the fall. You feel this sense of call towards ordained ministry. But is your call story that someone told you no, and so you said, "How dare you? Like, I'll show you."
Yes. One day in 7th grade, I was in Sunday school, listening carefully, as I always did, and they were explaining why they don't ordain women. I was like, this is such like, you're kidding me. I hate this. I'm going to go home and I'm going to become a pastor someday, and I'll show them. And then it became my dream job and my calling. Like, that's how it started, was
Wow.
they said, no, girls can't be pastors. And I was like, and yeah, I don't know. It's a weird, it's
But
kind
it
of a
sounds
weird
like
story.
too, you were really committed to church before that point, but then this sort of reinforced it, like it reinforced faith. I keep using those interchangeably, and I shouldn't do that. But that you said you were listening really carefully. You really loved all of this stuff.
Yeah, I loved learning the theology. I loved asking big questions. I loved to think about the role of church in people's lives.
Yeah.
I loved it. And then they were like, you can't be a pastor. And that's what put the idea in my head. oh, I could be a pastor. Which is the exact opposite intention that they had.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
then a year later, when I was 14, they were like, have you thought about marrying a pastor? And I was like, oh, that's so offensive. Like, you're telling a 14-year-old to try to marry somebody? Like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
So then I was like, I got to get out of here.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so then you kind of continue on, and you've been really like committed to this all along, this sense of like being
I've
called to be a
tried
pastor.
consider other jobs and stuff. I've thought about maybe being a Spanish teacher because I majored in Spanish, or a lawyer because I don't
You're
know,
good at arguing.
I'm good at arguing.
Yeah. But I talked you out of that one.
Yeah. Well, nothing is as cool as being a pastor. Nothing is as awesome as like
Keep
talking
telling
about the
yourself
Word of
that. Yeah. No, I love that. I love that.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I tried to consider other stuff to do, and I just so badly want to work in a church and lead a church. So cool. So I graduated from Wake Forest, go Deeks, in North Carolina, and I'm going to Emory in Atlanta in the fall for divinity school.
Good for you. That's awesome. Paige, coming back to you. And I would just love your insight, because you're not as of a church nerd as Kate, which is a really good thing. Heaven help us if we had too many of you, Kate. Come on. What do you think it is that often turns people away from church and faith, Christianity in general?
Ooh,
I know I should have given you a heads up that I was going to ask a question like this, but
that's a tough one. I think those are three different questions.
good.
I think what turns people away from the church can be a sense of obligation, especially growing up in such a, I think America especially pushes religion more than I think we like to admit.
Okay.
We've had all Christian presidents,
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of pressure when it comes to churches, beyond Christian churches, like to be religious. And if you're in the church, you like have to commit and do all of these things. You have to give all this to the church. And I think that's really scary for people.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome to do that, obviously. But,
Sure.
but I also think that people are scared away from that. Christianity, I think, doesn't have the best reputation as far as being accepting of people in general. So I think that is becoming, as generations get more and more progressive,
Open.
that history doesn't speak well to what the actual religion is at its core.
Absolutely.
I think that can
Yeah.
turn people away. I also think the aspect of science turns people away. Atheism. And I'm studying science, so I think science.
Yeah. Give a shout out. You didn't get to do that part of it. Where are you in school? What are you studying real quick?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm at the University of Maryland. I'm going into my sophomore year, and I'm in biology and criminal justice right now.
Very cool. But so with science end of things, you think that also oftentimes Christianity is viewed as anti-science or opposed to science or in conflict with science.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of belief around that, like Christianity isn't science.
Yeah.
Like I think people are like, these are two different things, but there's a lot of overlap. And yeah, I mean, I think people really get turned away from that. Faith, I'm not sure. Because faith can be a lot of different things.
Absolutely.
Faith doesn't have to be in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think all people have faith at its core, and people direct it to different things.
Yeah.
Or multiple things.
I really appreciate that comment too, because I think that that's an interesting part of what I'm always curious about, given my role, is what can the church be doing, the Christian church be doing, to combine some of these terms, to better connect with people of faith? Because as you're saying, like everyone is a person of faith in some way, shape, or form. How can we better connect with people who are like wanting to ask the big questions? So that was something that Kate said.
Right.
I love getting to ask the big questions. And I think a lot of people, like a person of faith is a person who likes to wonder about the world and why we're here and what our purpose is. And that's why I'm still in church, because I think that that's such a valuable question to be exploring in community. But clearly, like, I love all the things you're saying. I really appreciate it. Like, that is not how people see the Christian church. It's like that cool place you can go to ask your big questions. Like, no, it's that place you have to go that's not going to be accepting of who you are.
Interesting. Yeah, I think that's a really good point, because I think bringing up the asking the big question, especially, I think a lot of people look at the church and say they think they know the answer to everything. I think it's like they think they know what is going on, and I don't. I have questions, so therefore I can't be religious.
Love it.
Does that make sense?
So good. Kate, chime in. Go ahead. What are you thinking about all this? I know you have opinions.
No, I think that's a really good point, that people think we have all the answers, that we're kind of just know-it-alls almost. I think I took a class on Christian nationalism this last fall.
Yeah.
And I think that Christian nationalism is a huge turnoff for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
And that it really...
Christian nationalism for...
I wish I had my book.
Your dictionary definitions?
There are a lot of different definitions, but it's, in my mind, it's conflating being American with being Christian. So understand, some people will think, oh, you can only be a real Christian if you're American. You can only be a real American if you're Christian. And it's like, it ties in along with like racism, white supremacy, sexism, like these patriarchal kind of family values, militarism, like all of this stuff ends up being connected to Christian nationalism. So I think that some of that kind of stuff, like the really American Christianity, American super evangelical Christianity, like the mega churches and stuff, no offense to them, but I think that's...
And not all mega churches, but I think that that's where it is very prevalent. And and it for me just feels so in conflict with what Jesus was actually teaching. There's just, it's hard to connect the dots in my mind, but that, I mean, it just, I would love to hear more from your class too, because I'm sure it's like, it's a long, slow evolution to this point that got us here, right?
So interesting.
Because even like America wasn't founded as a Christian nation just specifically. It was a nation of religious freedom. And the founding fathers weren't, like, Thomas Jefferson wrote his own Bible, right? Like there's a lot of weird stuff in there that would not fly in Christian national circles today. But those individuals get upheld as like these wonderful examples of et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, so no, that's
fascinating.
That's fascinating. And I think you're right. Like that is currently a big turnoff. Do you have any other thoughts? Because I let Paige talk about faith and church and Christianity and why people are disconnected from any of those three. Christian nationalism, I think, fits in there with a lot of this as a good answer. But I don't want to cut you off.
I think a lot of people don't really feel a need for church. They don't really see what they could get out of it. They don't feel like they're missing something that only church can provide. Even if we believe that they are missing that element of faith or that element of the Holy Spirit in your bones, whatever it might be, even if we think and know that they're missing that, they don't think they are. And it could have something to do with just the structure of the world today. People have been saying that for centuries. Like, oh my gosh, in these unprecedented times. But I don't know. I think that people don't know what they're missing out on, or they don't realize that they are missing something really important that you can only get here.
Yeah. What is that?
All of the services that church provides, I don't know how to sum it up in like one good word, but like these aspects of community, of answers to big questions, of space to doubt and think, places to grieve and deal with the rites of passage of life, like having babies, baptism, and then dying. We have funerals here. Like all of this sort of progression of humanity, how your life goes, like all of these really important elements of what it means to be human are found in religion. And people are missing that as the common denominator of what we all have in common. A lot of us have in common.
Yeah.
And I think that people don't realize what they're missing in that sense of security, community, faith, feeling like you're a part of something bigger than yourself, like things that people really crave that they don't realize they can find all in one place.
Yeah. No, I think you're covering a lot of details there. And what's funny is that church is striving to provide a lot of that, right? Like, rites of passage, spaces to grieve, community for support, a space to ask your big questions and maybe be directed on your big questions.
And to worship, to interact with God.
And
in a structured way.
In the same sense, right? Like all that's happening. But why, Paige, don't people see that? What do you think? Because I see church. Most people, it's boring. I really, right? Like it's not for me. I'd much rather be doing something else. Like none of those pieces seem to click readily for people. And I don't know if you had any. You just been quiet for a minute, so I put you on the spot.
I think it's an aspect of like coming to church with a different mindset. I think the people who aren't feeling that might be coming to church with the mindset that this is boring, or that they're coming as an obligation, not as seeing through their faith.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they're not seeing. And I mean, I don't want to put it on people. I feel like it's the church's fault.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Like that's how I get so upset, like going to church websites or visiting other churches, and then even, upset here sometimes too, but at least here I have agency to make change, to make it better. But it's just like, oh my gosh, like we are dealing with the mysteries of the universe here. And this is like such a beautiful tradition and history that we get to be a part of. And you're killing it. This is so boring, and this is so heartless and soulless, right? You are going through the motions, and it drives me crazy. And I think it's the norm. I think that's how most places approach it. Or they go too far the other direction. Like, we just need to entertain you. Like, how can we be way more entertaining? And you can't be more entertaining than Netflix. Have you been on Netflix lately? I don't know. So, or YouTube. Oh man. You can't be more entertaining than YouTube.
No. And we're not meant to compete. It's something different altogether.
It's something different. So what should the church do about it though? Like how do we avoid that problem of the fact that there's so much. I really appreciate how eloquently you put it, Kate, of like all these pieces that church does well. What it means to be human, that's what you said, is what we're trying to talk about in so many different ways and provide. But that's never or rarely ever how people understand what's happening at their church. And how does it play out differently?
I don't know. I think that people start to see it on such a human level that they forget about the divine, in a sense. Like they start to see just the pastors or the old ladies or, whatever it might be. And they forget that there's something amazing going on.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to describe, but just, it can get boring. I know. But it's hard to say. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just feels like obligation.
It's easy to miss the forest for the trees when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Paige? What the church could do different?
I think Bethany's doing a really good job at like promoting the church in a different way. But I think a lot of it is just like people, or like not people themselves, but like the church stigma, like around it. Like what church is expected, like you're forced to go as a kid and therefore you're forced to go as an adult, and therefore instead of
you get to go.
You get to go. Exactly.
And it's hard to subvert all of that too.
Yeah.
Because people should bring their kids to church even if the kids don't really want to go.
Sure.
Like it's hard to get away from some of that obligation, I guess.
What makes you say, Kate, that you think that you should bring your kids to church out of the obligation of it all? Because it worked for you.
It did work for me, but I kind of chose this on my own, I guess.
Yeah.
We never really talked about faith a whole lot at home growing up.
Interesting.
Like we would a little bit, but I didn't have extremely religious parents. Nobody in my family has ever been a pastor.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of my own thing, but
yeah.
Regardless, I think that church provides an aspect of learning that maybe a resonant feeling in nature might not. Like, I don't know. There's like confirmation classes, Sunday school. Getting to know all these things as a foundation for your faith is a really important way for those resonant experiences to make more sense and to continue to actually develop your faith instead of just being like, oh my gosh, I love being outside.
Yeah.
And it feels so good. Like when you understand why and that God created the world and all of these things, and
All
like
these pieces.
the stewardship of creation, like all of these sort of theological ways to look at our existence as human beings.
Sure.
I think that it makes those resonant experiences, wherever they may be, that much more meaningful and impactful to your actual faith itself.
Yeah. Okay. I
And
appreciate
I think
that.
when kids get that foundation, then they grow up with a better understanding of themselves. They're better equipped in confidence, in community, and they just have a sense that they're a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's really important for little kids who don't really understand the world around them to have a grasp of what a lot of people think about the world around them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a good way to nurture growing minds.
So shifting gears to next question, what do your friends think when you tell them that you're interning at a church this summer? Paige, I'll start with you. Have you told your friends?
The ones I've seen. What do they think? I mean, I haven't heard much opinion.
Okay.
It's just kind of like, okay,
Okay.
nice, cool.
Kate?
Yeah.
Oh, they're like, makes sense.
Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Or
I
they're
should have
like,
expected
what
that.
do you even do? And arts and crafts.
It's the weirdest job,
Just
right?
like, oh, it's awesome. And
I was in the copy room and Paige came by. She's like, hey, I got to get this mouth of a whale off the printer. And I'm like, we have the weirdest jobs.
yeah, lots of random
Lots of random stuff.
things.
Uh-huh.
This has been super fun. And so I'm going to close, as always, with one question for each of you to answer. And it's the one I told you I would ask you. And so the question is, why are you still here? Why still commit to any of this stuff in a world that seems so out of control and desperate to do something completely different? Whoever wants to go first. I won't put anyone on the spot.
I appreciate the kind of eternal element of it. I think that's what's really stuck out to me in the last few years. I majored in religious studies, which is not the same as theology.
Nerd.
It's the opposite. So it's understanding like why people have religion, what that religion is, blah, 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 whatever. There's
Yeah.
no theology at all. It's sort of like sociology, but for just religion.
Yeah.
And I would tell people, well, I'm majoring in the only thing that can matter forever. Heaven will be here way after the earth is
Oh
gone.
my gosh.
So I just like
You
this
really said that to
eternal-
people too.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they would give me a hard time. What are you going to do with religious studies? Guess what? I'm going to be around.
AI can't replace that.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think that sort of that eternal element and a feeling of connection and knowing that for centuries people have been doing this and reading the same words and thinking the same thoughts, and that I can see those thoughts from the 13th century written down with the same questions that I have about suffering and grief, and that God was there
Yeah.
at the beginning, but before the beginning, and will be there until after the end.
Love
Like,
it.
I just really appreciate that sense of foreverness that church brings, because there is nothing else in the world that has anything like that.
Love it. Thank you. Paige?
I think I'm here to be a part of something that is bigger than myself. You mentioned, can I get political?
Please.
Okay, cool. You mentioned how chaotic the world is. And I think that was a huge turning point also in people needing support more than ever, in needing something that is not only bigger than themselves, but also surrounds them with people with support,
Yeah.
with support from people, from God, like feeling that more than ever. I mean, I know we had a huge support system for when the ICE thing started happening, when people started getting deported.
Yeah.
And having that support, I think now more than ever is an important time to have a good church community and to have that aspect. I mean, I like that we reach more people than just like Denver.
Yeah.
We reach more people. I mean, today I sent out boxes to like New Mexico and Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Go Terps. Further than just like Denver and a lot of other places. You can't do that. You can't reach people beyond just yourself and the people you know in your own circle. We're reaching people worldwide through
Yeah.
LCA. Our mission trip to Ecuador, and I think that's so incredibly important, especially now, since it's such a divisive time. And I think more important than ever that it's faith that connects people.
Thank you for that. That's awesome. Yeah, to that point too, before we came down here for this conversation, I met with a student who's going to be confirmed in the fall, and he has to do a confirmation project. And he was like kind of worried about how he's going to pull it off. I'm like, no, like we'll help you with that, right? Like if you have an idea, like we'll put in the bulletin, we'll send it in the newsletter, and you're going to have 1,000 people who are willing to like be a part of that, or like help you, gather cereal boxes like we did last week in day camp. Yeah, the community aspect and what we can accomplish together. I appreciate you saying that, because I think that that's really, we don't talk about that enough. It's always about what the church is doing wrong or the way that it's hurting people. Like, yeah, but what about all the good too that comes when people get together and think beyond themselves, right? And think beyond this moment in time, foreverness and expansiveness. Yeah, good answers. You two are smart. I like having you around. And hey, you dear listener, thanks for being a part of this. Thanks again to Paige and Kate. They'll be here all summer long. They're going to make some social media content for us. We were talking about that before we started. Thank you as always for listening. Stay in peace, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Together for Good podcast. If you'd like more resources for your walk of faith, please visit our website, bethany-denver.org, or download our mobile app by searching Bethany Connect in your phone's app store.